Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMEV Reviews, and today we're taking a look at the newest studio album from Shakey Graves titled Can't Wake Up. Let's get to it. Shakey Graves is a moniker for Alejandro Rose Garcia, and this band is definitely focused on that Americana folk sound. That is definitely the sound that he is going for in this band. And honestly, this new album is a big departure from that. It was obvious whenever he released an Instagram post, I believe, saying "sell your suspenders," which was a joke about how they were kind of moving away from that folk Americana sound to a little different sound. And I can totally understand how a lot of people following that would be very concerned. A lot of artists, with the added emphasis of Billboard streaming, have moved to a lot more mainstream sound, kind of moved away from their roots. And that's extremely unfortunate. And so I could see how a lot of people would be very worried. But then the lead singles came out, and maybe some people were, maybe some fans were, but when I heard them, I was totally on board. They still take that folk influence, it's definitely there, and they mix it with a very indie sound, and they still keep that folk storytelling and lyrical aspects to it. And I think it works really well. Now, the two lead-off singles, Counting Sheep and Kids These Days, those both were very like stereotypical indie songs. I will admit, probably musically they're not the most engaging. Now, saying that, Kids These Days is probably one of my favorite tracks just because, man, it's just catchy and the vocals are great. It's so fun. Moving on. It's not honestly the most original or creative indie folk song that I've ever heard. Definitely fits in the same category of the Decemberists, the Lumineers, anything along those lines. But honestly, when you look into the lyrics, you get a different story. These are actually really interesting lyrics here. Both songs are pretty interesting lyrically. He kept that folk storytelling kind of style. And honestly, this whole album just sounds like folk storytelling. It's like sitting around a campfire, but with a whole band. And it really works, honestly. Yes, it's a little departure from the normal sound, but honestly, I really do like this. I really do like that folk indie sound. The Decemberists and the Lumineers are two bands I absolutely love. And so I definitely like the sound here. It works, and I honestly think that Shakey Graves has some incredible lyrics. Now, going into this, I thought I'd be a little bored, and honestly, I wasn't. If anything, to have any kind of negative comment, I do have to say it's a little long. Some of the tracks are a little long, and the back half does kind of get stale. It's probably just not as exciting and interesting and engaging as the first half. That being said, it doesn't really matter because it's still good, one. Two, yeah, honestly, if they'd cut about a minute off of maybe the last 5 tracks, oh yeah, this album would have been cleaned up a ton. I know it's minimal, but just a little bit less runtime would really make a difference here. That being said, those are nitpicks even, honestly. And I've never really got into Shakey Graves. I've never really paid attention to him too much. But this album, I think I should have, and it's probably because of that indie folk sound, so I may not completely love the old stuff, which I have listened to some of it, although some of them are not on Spotify, which is my primary source of music listening. But I honestly did really like the sound. It all worked excellently. Like I said, he is a storyteller. These are not just songs, these are stories. And it works so incredibly well. He has an excellent use of language, of music, and just knows how to tell a story through both language and music. It's not just the music is there to support the singing. No, it works all together. Dining Alone is probably one of my favorite tracks for that reason. It starts off with a very monotonous, boring, and dull guitar riff that kind of just drudges along, and it is kind of painful to get through at first. And then you realize he then says he falls asleep, and it picks up and it becomes a little more transcendent, a little more uplifting, and it's like you're soaring, as he literally is in the first chorus. And it then just, he wakes up and it starts over. It's back to that dull, repetitive guitar sounds. It tells such a story of the monotonous way that so many people live. And you know, it doesn't even end on an optimistic note. It ends on "Eat, Sleep, Do It Again." And that is the last words in that song. the song never ends on a happy, like, and then he wakes, and then he realizes, and he runs out to fulfill his dreams. No, it sticks with that same monotonous day-to-day life, and then when you fall asleep, it picks up, and you're living out your dreams, literally in your dreams. And I think that that's awesome, because so many workers can relate to that. Both blue and white collar workers can relate to that aspect of it, because there's so much just repetitiveness in day-to-day life, and so many people want to do more with their lives, and he captures that need, that urge to do that perfectly. It is absolutely one of my favorite songs, and he tells such a story through the music, not just the lyrics, through the music too. Vocally, Rose Garcia honestly sounds great. It's not like the most beautiful lyrics, but they're definitely fitting for this style. It works great, in my opinion. I see a lot of similarities to John Lennon, honestly, and I'm not trying to... They're definitely not the same vocal style. They're not really that close in general, but I say that because they definitely... Neither one of them would be considered beautiful vocalists. I mean, John Lennon had a very nasally and weird vocal delivery, and it's not considered beautiful by any means, but it works so well for the music he's singing, and honestly, it's just one that you grow to love. It's not the most beautiful, but it works. It's harsh and it's real, and it gives that very realistic aspect, very personable aspect to it, which is something that he definitely is trying to do, because I mentioned kids these days. It talks about an older generation not really identifying with younger people, or not even that, just younger people that wouldn't identify with younger people. I mean, there's definitely a lot of types of younger people, and so there's a lot of the same generation that feel disenfranchised with the other half, whether it's the meme culture. Obviously, I'm not a part of that too much. But there's definitely a clear divide between a lot of the younger generation too, and I think that that's awesome. That song is so relatable, at least to me, because like I said, I don't really identify with that crowd. So there's definitely such good storytelling that really works into such a good meaning, and it's really, really good. I love this album. I really do. As I said, the back half it just didn't capture my attention as much. The high points are very high, but there aren't really low points. It just didn't really capture my attention as much. So it's not really like a negative. It's more just something to keep it from being closer to perfect. Honestly, though, I do really, really enjoy this album. I'm tempted to give it an 8.5, but I just feel like some of the songs just didn't quite click with me enough. Repeated listens, more than the 5 or 6 I've given this, could maybe push it up, but right now I'm going to have to give it an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot. What did you guys think of this album? Please let me know. It's definitely not what I expected, but something I'm loving, so please let me know what you thought, any other songs that stood out, because obviously there's a lot to get into here, and while I did definitely pay attention, some songs stood out to me more, so maybe some just kind of slid under the radar. So let me know what you guys thought. I'd love to hear. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot. Is there anything I can do to improve the quality of my videos, or any upcoming albums that you'd like me to check out? Let me know. Honestly, guys, thank you. I'll see you guys later.